Hi, my name is Nyein Chan Aung. I am an artist, industrial designer, and design researcher. I make cool stuff for a living. My design practice primarily take place at the intersection of mobility and art. I like things that move around. That's always been a passion of mine, whether they fly or they roll. I was born in Myanmar. There wasn't a whole lot of design practices that are being done there today. The world of art and craft and design, I mean, they're all there. There's an understanding of it, but there's not a hard specialized division like you would find over here. But when I was in high school in America, I saw a video on Buckminster Fuller and I started looking at the kind of careers that you can have as a creative professional. And I came across the idea or the practice of industrial design. And I just fell in love with it immediately. I realized that there's all this stuff around us. Someone had to design it. And the person who's designing these things has a huge influence on how we go about life. And as time went on and I practiced industrial design more and more, my understanding of design from making things look nice started to shift into making things work for people and how we change lives from it. And around the same time as well, I started to realize art as the overarching grandfather of all of the work that we're doing, or grandmother of the work that we're doing. Art has the ability to allow me to express myself fully, and it has a stronger channel for me to get a message across. I can only achieve with design being the main lens, and there are certain things I can only achieve with art being the main practice. So I do both now. These days, they're especially starting to blend together because both have a level of expression, both have a level of function, both involve a level of composition and communication and clarity and legibility. The art tram is a highlight of my art career at this point. I decided to paint a scene from essentially my memory, just juxtaposed over time with different sort of people. It was just this scene of me having dinner with my wife sitting in front of me at the iconic, some call it institution, Supper Inn Chinese restaurant in Melbourne. I saw it in the tram depot for the first time, and my wife came with me. There's nothing like your art living in the world. I was just blown away. You can see the pencils, you can see the lines, and ultimately you can just see at that moment how this is going to be part of Melbourne. Central to the piece is, and I really hope this transferred to everyone who viewed the work as well, is the love and the connection and the warmth that I felt sitting across from the person I love. So the very much Tintin raising that cup of tea, looking right into the camera or the viewer into my eyes in that case. My wife, Tintin, is a doctor. She is a specialist in geriatrics medicine and she is a specialist in endocrinology. She does also do research work and she is also a visual artist. So she paints much like I do and she is equally as creative as I am, just much, much smarter as well. And so Tintin and I partnered up on the project. We lost our mom a few years ago, and the experience of being by her side in palliative care and experiencing the hospital room and with many long nights and hours, we realized that we can work together and we can make this experience a little bit better. We designed essentially a solution that's composed of two units. One unit is the size of a bookshelf. You can roll it into other room and you can fold out a Murphy bed, if you will, a full lie flat bed, so an extra guest could stay over. And then there's one more unit that's very important. That's a telecommunication unit, so that people who can't be there with you in your final hours, and if you can't be there with your loved one in their final hours, you can still communicate digitally. We did not know how relevant that will become until the COVID-19 pandemic happened. And today, there's now more interest than ever because due to the access limitations, people are more alone than ever in the hospital rooms. Both Tintin and I are Burmese. In our culture, we don't leave the departing on their own. We stay with them until the moment comes. And so the importance of that is, should someone be going through their end of life journey in a non-palliative care setting, we could roll in these extra units that could give the visitor or the companion some comfort while they stay with them, and the technology could help them connect to people who are elsewhere in the world. An overwhelming majority of my creative education and training is very much Western. But I always knew that my great grandfather was a dancer. He's labeled the father of Burmese theater, and I didn't really know what that meant until I decided to take it upon myself to dig into my own family history a little bit. And that's when a different level of connection came to be. One of the first things I realized is that this man wasn't just a dancer. He was a terribly creative person, very intelligent, a good businessman. He really understood how creativity works. And I started to look at how history tends to frame creatives of other cultures as well. Being a dancer is difficult, period. He was able to start a dance career from the smallest village of one of the poorest countries in the world. And he was able to take it to a point where he's essentially built an entertainment and theater empire, the kind of success that trickled all the way down to paying for part of my university fees generations later. My grandfather did look at a fair share of how performances are being done all over the world. The biggest cultural norms that he challenged was not necessarily in the delivery. When he built the stage, if people can see more shows, no one's really opposed to that. But he wanted to dance a bit more closely with his dance partner, and so that was a bit of a cultural upheaval. Back then, in Myanmar at least, you're not allowed to act out those tales as a person. You can do puppet shows and you can tell them and you can paint them, but you're not allowed to kind of presume the role of the basically one of the lives of the Buddha on stage. And so he essentially had to work with the Buddhist leaders at the time to essentially receive cultural approval for those to happen. And when he did, his argument was that doing that will have a bigger impact on the spreading of Buddhist ideas than any book or preaching that people could do. You know, he was right. To this generation, many people, when they talk about these tales, they often recount the way he told those stories and are not even aware of those. My grandmother is the last person to bear the last name Posey, and she's not young anymore. I want the world to know their stories, and I want the world to have a chance to hear directly from her.